but we do this and this. And, we just got to have a change in there, and I just want to try to make that change, if I can, and that's why I'm running. It's much more on an emotional, it's always on an emotional basis, not on an intellectual basis. Again, it's just not like wild, flying out their emotions all over the place, about everything, out of control. You've got to know the issues. And you have to have answers. I mean, when I, brief candidates, I try to say, memorize these things called factoids. Like, 2 or 3 lines that are facts and stats. So it makes you sound real smart. Say, well, here, this county supervisor, if the budget is, $437,000, and, the zoning problem over here is, no. People go, yeah, that guy's smart. He understands the material. And so have those ready, memorized, things about your candidacy or about your district or about something else. They're not there to argue with somebody. They're there to kind of display to them that you have knowledge of the subject area that you're going into. It's like Judge Chris said, study before you go in. What are you running for? What are the rules? How many votes does it take to win? And we'll be talking, a lot more about that, about targeting and, how we get there. Questions? Yes, ma'am. Well, there's a lot, I mean, we could go to a bar or a coffee shop and probably talk about that for an awful long time. I try to study these things and read all the books and, talk to consultants that are involved in all the things. So that, well, one of the things that's really important to understand is that, and it's important to remember this in your own campaign, there's never any one thing that's going to win or lose your campaign. Never. No matter what they say, when the media has a tendency, afterwards to say, oh, it was one, they did this, and that's how they lost. That's because the media is trying to simplify it for, the bottom of the pyramid, so everybody understands it. Brittany was drunk, that's why she got arrested. I'm sure it's more complicated than that, And so there's never any one thing, it's always a series of things. I think that Karl Rove and G.W., George W. studied at the hand of Lee Atwater. Lee Atwater, was a brilliant political consultant. He was on the other team, but he was a brilliant guy. And one of the ways to become a brilliant guy, Lee Atwater, Republicans did back at that time, in that day, like when I grew up, they were much better at winning national elections than winning local elections. We Democrats ran everything. We had every county seat, we had every legislature, we had every, state house, we had everything. Well, what Atwater did is he started out on presidential campaigns, and then went out and ran nothing but local campaigns for 15 years. For 15 years, he did nothing but run small local campaigns. And then when he came back, he elected Reagan president of the United States. And then he elected George Bush. And George W., really, I worked with the Kennedys and worked with them for years. And, there's a lot of people, members of that family. And you got everybody in that family is committed to public service, but you have some of the members of that family that are just junkies, just like me. They want to know everything. They're like a sponge. They want to learn everything they can. They know a bunch of stuff, and they always want to learn more. And other people, they're just kind of surrogates. Well, George W., got, a bee in his bonnet about learning this stuff. And, he learned it, from Lee Atwater. Lee Atwater's the guy that did the Dukakis ads and, those nasty Horton ads. It was really kind of the beginning of this huge suite of very effective, negative campaigning, the Republicans have been very successful with. And trust me, you'll see some stuff that I've done. I know how to do negative campaigning. I don't believe in not giving a punch. If they punch you, you better punch them back twice as hard, or you can't win. But there's been a general trend throughout the country. There's been a lot of books written about this, with Republicans investing more and more money through their foundations to work with language. And they understand the message pyramid. And they've been working with language very effectively. They don't talk about the inheritance tax, right? They talk about the death tax. Taxes so bad they're going to tax you after you die. Well, no, it's an inheritance tax about rich people is what it is. But they use death tax. Even the words pro-life. It's about life. It's, and they have worked very manipulatively, very wisely with language because they know they have to communicate to people on the bottom. When I grew up, and I know you all remember this too, it's like, the bottom is always rich people. They were the rich guys. And they said, we got to broaden our coalition, we got to have more poor people involved in us, and we got to find them. they found him. They found, Christian evangelicals. They found, lots of white poor people that, wanted to blame, other races or immigrants or other people, on their problems. They found them, they gathered them all together in a coalition. They kept that coalition together, and that's how they won.